In this video, I'm going to be giving you an overview of the AI editor. We're going to be going over all of the UI so that you can easily navigate to all of the controls that you're looking to navigate to when building AI agents. Let's go ahead and get started. When you first create an AI agent, you will land inside of the AI editor. And you'll notice several different pieces of UI, but what you need to focus on are two main sections. On the left-hand side, you'll find the Explorer. And in the Explorer, you will find all of the resources used to build your AI agents. And these resources include data sources, which can be files that you upload that your AI agent can reference, custom functions, which are pieces of code, JavaScript or Python, that you are able to execute inside of your AI agent workflows. User inputs that are like Google Forms style form fields for collecting information while the workflow is running, and your workflows. Now you will notice that we are in our main.flow workflow, and within that we are inside of the automations tab. On the right-hand side is all of the workspace, and this is going to change depending on what you have selected. So, for example, if I created a new user input by clicking on the plus button next to the folder, you'll see that the interface has changed and a new tab has appeared at the top. And we can switch from between different tabs by clicking on the tabs, or we can also use the left-hand Explorer to navigate to what we're looking to work in. So inside of the main.flow folder, there are a few different tabs. There is the automations tab, which is where you're going to be spending most of your time. And this is where you're going to build your AI agent workflow. And the workflow is made of a couple of different pieces. There is the start block, which initializes the workflow. There is the terminator block, which ends the workflow. And then there is everything in between. And you can add new blocks to this canvas by clicking on the plus button. And you'll see several different options for different kinds of blocks to add, with some of the most common blocks appearing up front, or you can have a list of all of the blocks available by clicking on View All Blocks. The other thing that you'll notice is this canvas is scrollable, meaning you can scroll up and down, you can hold Shift and scroll to scroll left and right, and if you ever get lost, you can use these controls at the bottom right of the canvas, in particular this Home button, or R on your keyboard, to reset your view and center everything back in your canvas. If you get lost, don't worry, just click on that reset view button. You can also zoom in and out. You can arrange your canvas automatically. So for example, if I added several different blocks here that all do a bunch of different things and they're kind of all spread around in different places, I can use this auto arrange button to simply create the workflow and then press R to reset. And you'll see this makes a nice pattern for us to view in our viewport. You also have the ability to pan across the canvas by clicking on this pan tool, and this is going to allow you to click and drag the canvas wherever you'd like. So you can always switch between them by using H and V for quick access. So if I use V, I'm now in the selection tool, and if I use H, I'm now inside of the hand tool and can drag. And so make sure that you're switching back and forth, or you can simply use the scroll wheel. Lastly, at the bottom right, you'll find the note tool, and this allows you to click and drag to add these little sticky notes to your canvas and allows you to type in all kinds of notes. You can change the color of the note, and you can also expand the area. You can move it around using the hand tool, and it will always sit behind. So this is good if you want to put a note inside of your canvas for a specific group of blocks or a single block. You can also delete those notes by clicking on delete. At the bottom left of the canvas is this Run Diagnostic tool, and this is going to check and make sure that variables in your workflow are all linked up correctly. It might diagnose your workflow and make recommendations for how to optimize the workflow. This is an advanced feature, so we only recommend you use it if you understand how all of the blocks in your workflow are currently working. So if you're experimenting, I recommend not using this until you get a little bit more experience on how to use MindStudio. As we navigate through the tabs, you'll notice that there are several other tabs here at the top. There is the system prompt, there is model settings, evaluations, and the profiler. And the system prompt you can think of as being the general set of instructions that you're going to give to your AI. And so if you are making something like a blog post generator, you can just say something like, this is a blog post generator, and you just type in your instructions. Typically, there are a few best practices for prompt writing, which we'll cover in another video, but you'll notice that there are some additional tools here at the bottom that help us write this quickly. In particular, if I delete all of this, you'll notice that we have this generate prompt tool, and we recommend that folks just starting out use this tool in order to write their prompt. So I can just type blog post generator, and it will generate a system prompt for us and provide all of the required instructions. And so we can simply let it generate, and then we can review the output of the system prompt to make sure that it all makes sense. So this takes just a couple of minutes. And once it's all done, you'll see that we have our blog post generator assistant here. And it gives us the overall role. It gives us the task that it's required to do, some key responsibilities, notes on tone and style, and what we are expecting as a deliverable. So kind of like some overview bullet points. Imagine if you were writing an outline for a human worker. You want to provide that same outline to your AI agent. Next tab, we have the model settings, and this is where you're going to select your underlying model. This is kind of the default model that your AI agent will use when a model is not specifically selected in your workflow. And you can choose from over 90 different AI models. There are a bunch of models to choose from. You will have to mix and match and see which ones that you like. And you can also adjust some additional settings, which we'll talk about in another video. Next up, we have this evaluations tool, and this is typically used for running a bunch of different test cases. If you're running your AI agent programmatically, if you're building your first AI agent, you don't necessarily need to use this feature. And lastly, we have the profiler, and this is what's going to allow us to test different AI models side by side. You can use the profiler simply by typing in a prompt, and you can click on the AI model itself to select a different model. So for example, if I wanted to compare Claude 3.5 Haiku to GPT-4o Mini, I can send a prompt to it. So I can say, write a blog post about dogs, and I can evaluate the output, and it's going to give us several different criteria that we can evaluate the AI agent on. So you'll notice that Claude 3.5 Haiku seemed to output much faster, and GPT-4o Mini seemed to create a longer output. We can also compare the costs side by side. And then lastly, this is more subjective, but you can compare the output itself. So this is actually asking us about more information. This one kind of takes the lead and does it on its own. And so we might want to change our model. You can also compare more than 2 models by clicking on Create New Profile. So now we have 3 instead of 2. Okay. The other thing to note is that inside of the Automations tab, you can click on specific blocks, and you'll notice the configuration panel on the right-hand side will change. So here I'm in a Generate Text block. Let's move over to a Run Function block, and you'll see that this interface has changed depending on the context of the block itself. You can always access our documentation simply by clicking on Quick Help here at the top right tab inside of the configuration panel. And you can also access our documentation by clicking on Help and Support here at the bottom. Moving on, we can see on the left-hand side that there are a couple of other tabs. The Errors tab is going to be useful for making sure that everything is linked up properly in your workflow. So for example, if I delete these blocks, let's say we just have this one Generate Text block here. You can see we have an error, and this error says a message in Generate Text block cannot be empty. And this will, if we click on it, it will automatically highlight the block where it found that error. We can simply fix the error by fixing the mistake here. So write a blog post about dogs. And you'll notice that the error is no longer there. And lastly, we have the debugger. And the debugger allows you to view each step of your AI workflow as it is running. So if we click on preview here at the top right, we can run this in the debugger, and we can simply click on run here, and you'll see that a new run has started, and it is showing the debugger here at the bottom. And if we click to expand this, it will actually show the entire run and every step in the workflow. So the run has started, the send message block has run, and then the run has completed. And we're able to see different things like the inputs and the outputs, as well as the costs associated with each step. So once we're all done creating our AI agent, you can find some general agent settings by clicking on the main agent folder here. This is the root folder. And from here, you'll find several different pieces of information that we can edit. In the general settings, you can edit things like your name and the description. You can give your AI agent an icon. You can create a landing page for this if you would like to share this with other folks. You can also configure all of the sharing and access settings. So whether or not you want this to be public, whether or not you want remixing enabled, which allows people to clone your project and make modifications as their own project. You can set things like usage limits. These signed URL and API access are business plan features, and they allow you to embed your AI agents and trigger your AI agents via API. And then you can also access some more advanced settings like some onboarding workflows, which is some user inputs, some forms that are collected and are stored in between sessions so that the AI agent can have some global information about your end user, some global variables, which are variables that you save in between sessions, which we'll talk about in a different video, as well as some advanced settings, which we won't cover in this video. You can also access version history. So you can see here, I am currently editing version 1. However, if I publish my AI agent and I click on publish, we will now see that a new version will be created. So this version 1 was published, and now we have the version 2 currently working. And we can choose to revert to a version if we'd like, if we make some changes and we want to go back to a previous state of our AI agent, we can use this versions tab. So you already saw how to publish. You simply click on the publish button at the top right. And you also have different ways to test out your agent. So you can open a draft version. You can run it in the debugger like I showed you at the beginning. And the main flow that you will find is that you'll be working out of whatever workflow you're working in. You'll add new blocks. You'll configure on the right-hand side. And that's the majority of what you'll be doing when you're working inside of MindStudio. But I thought it was important to kind of go through the entire UI so that you can understand where to find everything. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. If you have other questions, feel free to leave a question in the comments section of this video, and we'll see you next time.